I do believe in the last days, the move of the Spirit and the move of the Word of God has to be united. I do believe that we have to come like right in the middle. There's a balance between the cognitive and the concrete experience. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think it also emphasizes the importance of contextualization, where if we want to do something, sometimes it's not only about what is being delivered, but how we are delivering it, right?
Yeah.
Something that works in one culture doesn't always work in another. And I think it's good that the church is being informed and is evolving along with the culture and data that it's interacting with.
Particularly in Asia, where we have a lot of tribes and ethnics, right? We need contextualization.
A lot of diversity here.
And we need the concrete experience. You cannot deny if they had the manifestation of the Spirit, they got it. All right.
So next we're gonna move on to the Task Force Report 5, Mission in a New Landscape. And it's gonna be presented by Ravin Bura, the Associate Leader of Mission Task Force, AEA, Vice President with the Mission International, Korea Dean, and with the Institute of Leadership.
All right. Let's give you a big applause for Ravin. Thank you.
Good morning, AEA leaders. Good morning. It's amazing, isn't it? All right, so before we start this Mission New Landscape report, how about we take a minute to stand up and stretch? You know, we've been sitting for a while. And you can also take a minute to say hi to the person next to you and say, I'm happy to see you. God is good, whatever you want to say. Just feel free. Yeah, just have the freedom. Yeah, but don't go out, okay? Well, if you're done, you can take your seat, please. Kid, please don't count these minutes for my 8 minutes, okay? Amen. God is good. And all the time. Amen. It's amazing. That's one thing that always keeps our spirits up. God is indeed good. So I'm super excited today to stand before you on behalf of Missions Task Force. I'm really honored for this privilege, and we want to give you a report about what we did for past few months. In fact, more than a year. So first of all, I would like to invite you to see our team members right here on the big screen. We have about, from 10 nations, about 14 leaders, and some of us are here today, and some of them, they couldn't come. Would you please help me to recognize our Mission Task Force leaders standing right here? Would you please stand up? Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for all your work. God be with you. Without them, what we did wouldn't be possible. We have done so many days. In fact, we went on sleepless nights as well. So we would like to especially thank our executive director and leader, Reverend Barnabas Moon, for trusting us to do what God has asked us to do. So I would like to quickly give you a few things about what Missions Task Force has been doing for the past few weeks. And in fact, we are having a wonderful working session with all the participants, those who have signed up with us. Are you here? Yeah, let's give a big shout, all Missions Task Force. Oh yeah, there you go. Thank you. So we have been deciding and talking about what we should do and how we should do. Well, we came up that there are 6 emerging challenges in the mission department that we need to deal with. It's like a why 6. That has been the question from the beginning as we gathered as a team. And in fact, we also heard from Dr. Bambang saying that, okay, focus more on the stories we need to know. And then we've been praying and asking the Lord, give us the way so that we could help the church in Asia to know what's actually happening and what the Lord is doing in this new land missionscape. So we found out that there are 6 emerging challenges. And the question is, why 6? So we want you to know that a mission is not a place, but people. If that is the case, then mission is not of one thing, but many. So there are so many things that we need to cover, but we spend and we narrow it down, and we understood that there are 6 emerging needs that are currently need utmost attention from Asian church, especially in Asia. So these 6 topics that we have is gender issues, creation care, and Asian heresies, faith succession, persecution in Asia, and Asian diaspora as well. I'm going to quickly take you our findings one by one, and I'll make sure I'll be in my 8 minutes. If not, Kate going to shout out from behind. All right, so the first thing is gender issues in the Asian new mission landscape. Everybody's talking about it, isn't it? In fact, we are so blessed to see that most of the speakers, distinguished speakers, they are also addressing the 6 topics that we have dealt with. And one of the first thing is gender issues. We know LGBT, isn't it? What is LGBT? Well, for most of us in Asian context, we know LGBT probably homosexual or lesbian. That's all we know. But in fact, there are so many things to know. We discovered that there are 10 plus different groups within LGBT, and most of which Asian churches are not aware. It doesn't mean that they don't know about LGBT, but they're aware of it. So when we did the survey to 14 different nations in Asia, we found out that about 66.1%, they said that they're aware about LGBT. We are like, wow, thank the Lord. But what disappointed us is this. Preparedness to serve is just 0.8%. Most of the Asian churches and Asian leaders, the moment we come across LGBT, what we do is that we close our eyes. We just try to take a step aside. It's like, okay, it's nothing to do with us. But that's not how it is. So we decided that we would take up this issue and come to the churches in Asia to let them know that we know, but we are not ready, but it's time for us to be ready, because we need to reach them with a goal that they would come to know Jesus Christ, especially through the local churches of Asia. In fact, it's not anymore the issue in the West, but it's also coming to Asia. People are fighting. Some nations in Asia have already legalized. So it's our responsibility as a church and as a leader to prepare and act so that we can bring them to the very feet of Jesus Christ. It's because if not the church, then who would do it? It's the responsibility of church. And then we also dealt with the creation care. I believe most of us know the Mount Everest. One of the things we want to say is this. Ice that took roughly 2,000 years to form, and Mount Everest melted in just 25 years. So that's the severity right now. We are with the creation care, stewardship, in fact, the cultural, ecological concern, eco-missiology. There are so many terms that are, but the thing is that very few churches are ready, but most of us are not ready to take an action. So it's a call from Mission Task Force that Asian churches should take responsibility and enact so that we could do what we could do. We may not change everything, but we can definitely change something that should begin from us. And the third that we have is Asian Christian heresies and cults. It's a very interesting thing that we did a lot of survey, and in fact we posed a general and a very basic question asking what are current Christian heresies or cults in Asia. And in fact most of them, when we ask a question about the heresies, either we talk about Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, so and all, but you know what? We have passed that one. Most of us are not aware that indeed Asia is growing in number of heresies and cults. Who is heresy, by the way? We don't say like, okay, he doesn't pray like me, therefore he's a heresy. No, we don't do that. There are ways we evaluate and the way we try to find out who is who. And it is so sad to know that Asia is growing with a number of heresies. For example, 55 people and organizations from heresies, around 11 pseudo or pseudo-like organizations, and in fact, 27 problematic groups. And do you know, all this comes from one country in Asia. Any Koreans here? only Reverend Barnabas Moon and myself too, because I'm put up in Korea. But unfortunately, all these heresies are coming from Korea. The other side of beauty of Korea is this. They are the number one and number two, sending out thousands of missionaries around the world. But at the same time, Satan also attacking the country. It's not their problem. It's not the problem with Korea, but it's a problem with us because we are not aware. Most of us don't even know the names of them. We don't know that they're existing with us. Because most of us were expecting that they will come with a word, I'm a heresy. No, they don't do that way. They come like a sheep, but they are wolves. So we got to be very careful with them, and we need to understand. And it's important. It's not that the churches in Asia have completely ignored heresies or cults, but they have the least concern. They think it's not close to us, it's okay. Not now. But the reality is this. Most of the Asian leaders, when we ask the question, can you identify the heresy in your community? For them, about 26.7% they said, it's easy. It's easy to identify. But the reality is this, about 73.3% of Asian leaders, around 14 nations that we did survey, they said either it's difficult, moderately difficult, or extremely difficult. So the part of difficultness falls to 73.3% that we have. And you gotta know, Shincheonji is one of the cults and heresy originating from South Korea. And for our surprise, their presence is in every Asian nation. They sent 3,000 members to India to mobilize, 4,000 members to Mongolia to take over. So we're working, we need to do. Why? Why all these things are happening? It's because our leadership, our church, we are not taking it seriously. And that has become a way for them to rapidly spread without making an alarm. So we got to take an action on that. And the next topic that we haven't dealt was faith succession. Faith succession is something that nobody wants to hear about, isn't it? Especially when we are dealing with the elderly people. This is one thing we found out in our survey, that this very term, faith succession, is creating a lot of tension between the elderly generation and the younger generation. Because who is willing, for most of us, we understand faith succession is like, okay, you're done, quit and go, I'm coming up. Of course, it is something like we pass on the baton, but we need to understand that faith succession is not about living, but leading. It's about leading the younger generation. That's the perspective we have. And faith succession is not retirement, but promotion. How is that even possible? Because we've been defining faith succession as giving up something. No, when it comes to a ministry, there is no retirement. For instance, when we did the survey and found out with the other leaders, and this is what they said, they are not willing to quit. They think that the call of God is for lifetime, which we believe so. But the work that they are doing might be retiring physically, but when it comes to the work, it's not. So how is it possible that faith succession is not living but leading? We need to redefine the leadership, and this is how we consider of doing it. And in fact, this is one of the contributions from Lausanne Young Generation Department, Dr. Nana from Ghana. I was talking to him, and this is what we got. This is important that we need to recognize that leadership doesn't end. You see, 10 to 19 years, they're like a discovering leaders, and 19 to 20, they're identifying and imagining leaders. 20 to 25, younger leaders, not young. Okay, there is a huge difference. They are younger leaders, and 25 to 55, we have a bridge leaders, and 55 to 65, we have experienced leader. 65 to 80, we have a very experienced leader. And then comes 80 and above as a senior leaders. There is not a point that you're leaving the ministry, because without the older generation, younger generation cannot do it. They may have the knowledge as quick as possible, as fast as they can, but the experiences and the guidance we definitely need from you. So we believe that we need to look at faith succession as a leading, but not living. And in fact, We also have to, there are two things when we did the survey that what is the major problem in faith succession is this. From older generation, they have a hard time of accepting the younger generation. From the perspective of the younger generation, they don't know how to communicate to the older generation. So these are the things we need to work with to have the faith succession in this mission new landscape. Then we went to persecution. Persecution is something that we know, but we don't really care. We always see it, persecution, as somewhere in the Middle East. But in fact, it's everywhere. In 2022, these are the numbers. Just in the year 2022, about 5,600 churches were killed. Christians were killed. 2,100 churches were attacked. 124,000 plus Christians were forcibly displaced from their homes, and 15,000 plus became refugees. And in fact, this new thing, reverse conversions, are rapidly growing in India and around Asia and the globe as well. So it's something that we need to do. So what can we do? The persecution among Asian Christians is 1 in 3 and 2 in 5. So what can we do? What church can do? Well, we need to pray, isn't it? But prayer is something that we all can do, but we have defined prayer as such like this. Pray, raise awareness, assist, yield perseverance, establish networking, and revive. Revive is something that you really need to extend your support, letting the persecuted families and Christian churches to know that you are there. Just a one note saying we are praying for you would do a lot than sending thousands of dollars. So we want you to pray. We want prayer for persecuting churches in Asia. And the last one, Asian diaspora, which we are measured in. Well, you see that there are 280 million people are moving around the globe. 280 million. And also you need to know that Asia is the second largest host for migrants. There are different types of migrants that I'm not taking time to explain. But you see, Europe is number 1, and that has 87 million. And Asia is the second largest and has 86, just 1 million. We are hosting the second largest migrant groups in Asia, and we believe it's time to reach them as well. So we need to think globally, act locally, and also act locally and think globally as well. Wise words. And this is this. How can we do that? From small one, from near one, from little one, and from now on. Diaspora is something that we need to do. So leaders in Asia, we would like to urge you to take an action now. If not now, then when? Before the time goes up, we got to do it. Thank you so much for listening to it.
Morning, everyone. So I have everything, mic, clicker, and everything. So my name is Wendy Podiansa. So if anyone need a problem with, gender and everything, my name says it all. But please call me Podi. If you don't know how to pronounce it, it's iPod, move the I to the back, Podi. All right, thank you. So I'm going to share about the Digital Media and Technology Task Force. And this is the task force member. It's basically 2 people, and me and Pastor Tanon, who shared yesterday or the last 2 days. And we also do a lot of survey, and we come up into few conclusions. Before I start sharing our findings, I would like to share that this is my 10-year full-time in ministry. And I'm not coming from seminary background or pastor of a church, but I'm coming from a professional background in digital media and technology. And I believe that there are 3 things remain the same, which is gospel, Jesus, and the church. And throughout all the last 10 years, I've seen a lot of changes in this landscape. And I remember 10 years ago, I joined a meeting similar like this. I was in the room. Mark McClendon shared about the Air Force, the ground force, the media, the people. And in the first 8 years, I never seen things that going on what I will share. But in the last 2-3 years, I see a lot of things that God opening up through the digital media and technology sphere. So these are the primary question. What is happening in this world? What is currently God doing related with this area? What is the opportunity in all of this? And Pastor Bambang or Pa Bambang always share to me, you need to see the clouds. What is the sign? See some story here from different countries, different leaders. And this First Kings 18:44 says a lot that we need to see the sign, even though there is a small clouds that will bring rain, and we need to prepare ourselves. But the clouds currently from the perspective of mine and the people who are actually working on in this area, Christians, this is the clouds. God already show a lot of clouds, show a lot of signs, and with this kind of forming of clouds, it will come rain soon, and rain can be opportunity or can be problematic. And these are the 4 key findings in the area of digital media and technology. There are 4 C's in that area, which is we want to reach consensus here throughout the task force, the meetings and everything. And the second is online church and online community. It says about connection, media to movement, which is church planting movement started from media. It's talking about collaboration. It's talking about people, organization working together as one unit. And the rise of creators, which are talking about content. All right, so the first one, new tech, acceleration or a threat? Should we embrace AI for the gospel, the church, or the mission? This question is the same with every other generation before. Should we embrace piano when it was played in the bar to play in the church? Should we embrace Roman roads? Should we embrace the Gutenberg printouts to print the Bible? For us, the question is the same. And for us, we see a lot of threats in the social media wave, in the AI wave and everything. I don't want to undermining all these threats, but we want to see this fact, we are triumph over pandemic, supported by digital media and tech. Not only the church, the whole world. We can come back into this meeting after 2020. It's amazing. No one wear masks, except we are under the weather. But this is something, a fact that I don't need to put like any stats on it. So, yes, we should embrace AI for the gospel. We discussed about this. We have presentation in the first day of task force, in the first meeting of task force, in the first day, how AI can be used. But there are 3 key things that we can embrace it at the moment, which is the first one is digital avatar. Media ministry always try to make content, and the best content is people sharing the gospel online. And for the longest time, it's not safe for us to put up a face to reach other people in other worldview in the sensitive countries. But now we can create digital avatars who can share the gospel. We can have translation. One sermon can be translated into different language with a click of a button. We have people here, our ministry, we have people like Philip from CBN, I think he is exploring different tools. And the younger generation actually have all these tools for their marketplace and everything. We need to embrace these tools and see how it can accelerate the gospel, the church, and the mission. Chatbots. In our media ministry, we are trying to connect people from online to discipleship, to the churches and everything. It's labor intensive, but we try to introduce chatbots. And, people at 2 a.m. in the morning, we don't have any people who answer their problems. At least they can see some encouraging message and protect them to kill themselves at that time. So chatbot, it's helpful for repetitive tasks. We just need to choose where that chatbots will go for. And many things we're still exploring. And, there's community in the Christian believer. They might not be pastors, but they are mostly non-profits, people, individuals who love God, but also uniting to explore things like in Web3. You can go, the website is the cw3.global. CWT, Christian in Web3.global. And if you want to know more about, AI and everything, our organization will have this thing called Digital Day on the 9th of November, free. You can join online, you can explore These are people who are exploring not only how to use AI, but also the ethics and everything around it. Okay, the next one is online church and online community. I would like to say the discussion about online church is not started in COVID season. It's not started 3 years ago. 2015, a church called CCF in the Philippines actually talking to our organization, and they said, I want to start online church. What does it mean? They already live stream their sermon online, but it's talking about something that we will share in later. But you can see this church actually growing even more in pandemic compared when they have building. They have building of 80,000 people that can come to worship, but they are growing more than that with the help of digital media and tech. But they are something that is core of their online ministry. This is similar, another church in Indonesia actually born in pandemic season. So this is a church that is started with an evangelist who are usually invited to different churches to speak. But after that, he or she want to start a community, and it just spring up. Same pattern we see. And lastly, you can talk more with Pastor Tanon, how he actually started Nexus Online or Nexus Live. That is his another church that focusing in online. And all of those, the key of the online church is small groups. Still, people connection, relationship, connecting others. It's not the live streams, it's beyond live stream. It's how we engage others as people. And this thing called technology is just to connect others. And this is online small group for MBB or Muslim background believer in Iraq. You know, they worshiping together. And we need to be aware also Christian-based organic communities. These communities are Christian-based. The first one is Bible reading group. And this is started with a homeschool mom. And they have 25 groups with 10 people. In each group need to read Bible every single day. Ladies discipleship ministry. And these groups usually spring out of love to God and want to serve others. And how can the church and leaders, ministry can embrace this group and work together with them to support them? Because if this group make it and they don't have any leadership above it, they don't have any sort of like support on it, we might have challenges moving forward with teaching and everything else. But we believe God above it all. So community over large gathering, connecting over meeting, community learning, offer one-way teaching, because if you want one-way teaching, you can just open YouTube, e-learning and everything, you get one-way teaching. But nowadays, people love to learn from one another. What I know, what I experience cannot be told just from a class. The next one is media to movement. This is something dear to to us. Basically, from online to discipleship to multiplication. Focus on unreached people group. We're talking about sensitive country, and we're talking about how to filter people from online to connect them with the church, discipleship, and everything. This is a simple, straight line of how we can do like media to movement. And these are some photos in different countries, how people come to Christ in sensitive country and engaging with others, asking questions. These are spiritually open people. But, and they are just connected from online. They are okay. They want to ask questions, whether we are ready as a church to embrace them, to ask them questions, before they really choose their faith to walk with Jesus. These are the story from Nepal. Within a year, someone from online, disciple, baptized, and sent to the mission field. This is a story in Nepal as well, where there is no church in that city, in that village. There is no believer. Someone watched a Facebook content, 30 seconds, connect with someone, and then discipled, and then there is a group of house churches in that village. So this is a simple overview of media to movement. You can go to media2movement.org to learn more. There is network of organization in this. This is collaboration. This is not one organization, but this is connecting the field ministry, the churches on the ground with the media ministry. So media, movement, fist bump, collaboration. Rise of creators. This is something that us as leaders, ministry, and pastors need to be aware of, because there are so many Christians that believe God, love God, have the platform now to share their faith, and they are okay. Celebrities, public figure, And there are two kind of creators here, which is public figure who is born again Christian, Manny Pacquiao, Venus Ra, Gracia Poli in Indonesia, Daniel Manata. They are trying to share their faith, and they are okay. They hurt by many people. How can we as leaders to support them, embrace them, and guide them as well? Or the other side, believer, maybe your youth groups, young people in the church that really want to make content. They can write, they can do design, they can talk to the camera. They are hurt more compared to any other long-time pastor maybe. So I'm sorry to say this, but these are happening right now, and how we as the church can stand with them, embrace them, and guide them so that the gospel is extended. Lastly, this is the 4 key findings, and the question is, will you ride the wave or drown in it? Thank you.